There we go.
Hi, everybody. This is Sierra, and I am your host of Girl Math. And today we have a guest co-host, Steve Kramer.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? I'm Steve Kramer, and it's been a lifelong dream of mine to be on a podcast called Girl Math. And so,
Right.
I feel like I hadn't quite been demasculated as much as I really wanted to this week, and this really kind of puts the cherry on top for me.
Well, we're happy to have you. At least I'm happy to have you.
Thank you.
So grateful that you were able to make today happen.
Last minute sort of thing.
Yeah. So today I wanted to talk about a specific topic, and I figured it would be cool to get a contrast from a male's perspective and my perspective, a female.
Okay.
And so the topic is dating.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Dating. Are you familiar?
I've heard of this.
Yeah.
Is this things where your life goes into a dark turn on Tinder? And
No.
Bumble?
No.
What kind of dating?
Okay, so we're going to talk about dating in the early stages, like the talking stage, if you will. Are you single or are you married?
I'm actually single myself.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm single as well.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. That's not what I expected you to say. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so.
I should have said surprising. That's probably what I meant to say.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say, never mind. Let's just roll past that one.
I'm surprised that you're not off the market.
Oh, yeah. Very happily.
It's difficult to date these days.
Well, I think it's all relative to the person that is dating. But so today I wanted to talk about red flags. I wanted to talk about what's acceptable for or what's acceptable for a first date and what you think is an appropriate first date and other things. So let's just dive on into it. Okay. Well, one second, I got the wrong notes up. I'm so sorry. No wonder I couldn't follow along. I was so lost.
Thank God for editing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, seriously. Okay, so we're going to dive into the topic of dating from my perspective and then from yours. We've already talked about that. So before we get into the topic of dating, let me remind you guys to give us a follow, a like, and that way we can be on your notifications whenever we have more episodes. It's important, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about dating. First question I have is, do you believe attraction and love come at first sight, or does it take time to fall in love with someone?
Both. I've had both happen to me. I've had situations where I met someone and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
Like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
And then I've had situations where I did not want to fall in love, but eventually she grew on me.
Yeah.
Because she sort of forced me to. She forced the issue.
I want to know more.
Yeah. Well, sometimes somebody will show up in your life that you need, that you didn't realize that you needed at that particular time. And you may not necessarily be looking for whatever it is that they have to offer, but as soon as you realize it, you're like, oh wow, these are like really awesome qualities.
Yeah.
And then there are probably things that I think that a lot of people, especially if you're not looking to get involved with someone, then you are looking for the negative. You instantly start finding all of the negative things. Okay, I don't like this and this and this. So, and you focus on that, and that keeps you from falling for the person. But if she's like, if she makes like a really kick-ass macaroni and cheese, and like she's a really good cook, and she's very tender, and she knows how to take care of a man, then those things start to they grow on you, and
and so you appreciate those things rather than critiquing. Is that what you're saying?
I think that what happens is that whatever the negative things are, whatever level that they're at, the fear, or the negative thoughts that creep in your head once you start to think about losing the things that she has brought into your life.
Okay.
So it's like, oh wow, if I don't have her, then I'm going to lose like all of these awesome things that she has to offer.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So you look past the bad things,
Yeah.
and aren't so critical because, okay, so I have yet to, what was it? I have yet to get past the like talking stage, so I don't necessarily know what their good qualities are, but I don't even get past the talking stage because I'm not even truly interested because I don't have attraction to them.
Yeah.
So in my life and in my head, wanting to give somebody my time and attention and energy, I think stems from being attracted to them. Maybe I'm young and immature, so I'm kind of running off of lust or something like that, rather than, I guess it's hard for me to say, okay, like let's go on dates even though I'm not super into you, but I do know that like attraction can grow over time, right?
Oh yeah.
But I just don't even let myself have the opportunity to explore what someone could mean to me, because I cut it off so early because I'm just like, you're not the whole package. I don't want you. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Like when I was speaking earlier about the woman that is able to win me over.
Yeah.
Like that very, very rarely happens.
Yeah.
Because usually what happens is that if you, because it's like it does suck to be alone, and sometimes you just like, I mean, at least from a guy's perspective, sometimes I've dated women who I knew that they weren't going to be the person that I wanted to settle down with and marry, but they were like what I would consider an in-betweener.
Yeah, so, filling the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's...
And I don't think that's wrong. I just, for some reason, it's hard for me to like give time to an in-betweener because I'm like, feel bad for wasting their time. And I also almost feel the pressure of the commitment that they want. And I'm knowing that I'm not able to give that to them.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know. It's a little weird.
I think it probably is, you have two types of women. You have women who are, they want to be with a guy that is, that will take care of them.
Yeah.
And so they want to prepare themselves for that. But then there are some women who they want to be successful on their own.
Yeah.
And they want to make things happen on their own. And they don't want to be put in a position to where they have to rely on somebody else. So they kind of want to get their shit together first. So that
I think that's where I'm at.
I think that's probably where you are too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously it would be nice to like, find somebody that, I don't even know, would it be nice? I'm not sure, but I think I've got a lot to prove right now.
Yeah.
So it's...
Or maybe maybe you might be able to find somebody that like they knew that they were just like an in-betweener, and then it was like understood, and then like that way you could kind of
yeah, but who wants to sign up for that? Nobody, I mean, I think that kind of stuff you can't really like lay on the table and be like, hey, I'm not I mean, obviously people go through dating and they're like, hey, I'm not looking for a commitment, but if you want a good time, I'm here. So I guess I could be upfront and honest about that. That's where I'm at, but I don't know. There's like this.
Well, it would have to be somebody that felt the same way, because
true,
they're not going to want to hand over their feelings, and they would have to be willing to keep their feelings in check, and that would only work if that's what they wanted to, because otherwise it would get messy. But like for guys, you don't have two choices. It's just the one choice. Like if I really want a quality girl, I've got to get my shit together. There's no like.
That's true, and women have the option of like being a stay-at-home mom, or
just having like a sweet personality.
Oh, okay.
I always have a thing with me where I joke around and I say like the ultimate woman would
Yeah.
be like a hot girl with like a fat girl personality, because the big girls, like, they always seem to be the sweetest, because have to they know that they have to be they can't rely on their looks like a lot of other women do.
Okay.
So a lot of times they always, they'll end up being the sweetest. They'll do anything for you. They're very, very, they always make like the best friends.
Do you believe that an attractive female, a 10, can also make a good friend?
um, to a girl or a guy?
Well, that leads me into another question.
Okay.
Can females be friends with males? Just strictly platonic.
That's interesting. I feel like I've had this conversation recently. I think that it's, I think that it can exist, but I think that ultimately, I don't think that it can. Eventually, it has to end, and the reason why is because I think that the most successful relationships between a man and a woman are going to be the ones where the man and the woman are best friends. Like, they do everything together and they have so much fun no matter what they're doing. And it's a situation where if the shit hits the fan and they lose everything and they have to spend a couple of years building everything back up, and they don't have money to go out to eat at fancy restaurants and they just have to stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
If that person is your best friend, you'll be able to get through that, because you can just stay at home and you can play cards or watch movies together.
You mean somebody who you can spend a lot of time with and not get sick of? Is that what you're going with that? Were you going with that?
No.
Oh.
Because that's a requirement to be married with somebody. It has to be somebody that doesn't annoy you. But I think that because I know a lot of guys who, they want to compartmentalize and they want to have their best friends, all their friends, and then they have their wife. And I mean, I've seen it work that way. But it's like they give that friendship side to their friends and they don't really give that side of them to the woman.
Okay.
But if the woman and the guy can both like go do anything together, and it's, a lot of it is humor too. If they can make each other laugh, that's such a big part of being really good friends. But that's just me personally. Like, if I was going to be married to somebody, it would have to be somebody that I can hang out and do anything with, and that we can have a good time and laugh no matter what's going on. That's just me personally.
Okay, and then that brings us back to the question of, you said that a guy and a girl's friendship has to end.
Well, because if you,
out of respect for the other person.
yes, if a woman and a man get married and they have that friendship, then they would feel like some sort of a betrayal, as they should, having a friend with someone outside of the marriage that is of the opposite sex. It also, it's just, yeah, I think it's unfair to the person that you would be married to.
Okay, that's interesting. And I'm going to say that I think that a guy and a girl can be friends regardless of history and regardless of if they are married or not, or have a partner, because the tone of their friendship is strictly platonic. So I don't know. I mean, I can think of a handful of people that I am friends with that are of the opposite sex, and I wouldn't feel comfortable having to cut those friendships off. One, because they've done a lot for me when I was not in a good headspace or doing well in life. And so those people do mean something to me, and also because they are genuinely good people. I don't think that any of the people that I'm talking about would put my relationship in jeopardy by being inappropriate with me or making moves, talking inappropriately to me. And the nature of those friendships are in a specific friend zone, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I think you're probably simplifying it a little too much. For example, there are a lot of factors that go into it.
yeah.
Like, let's say that you and I were married, and
How am I supposed to keep that? That's okay. Yeah.
let's say you and I were married, and you were like, I have this guy friend, and he's a great friend of mine, and I'd like to introduce you to him, and he's going to show up. He just moved back into town, and in my mind, I'm probably thinking, oh God,
Right.
what's this going to be? Now, if we go to the bar and he shows up and he looks like Screech from Saved by the Bell, I'm like, yeah, you can be friends with that guy. I'm not worried about that guy. Now, let's say, on the other hand, let's say that I'm married to a woman, somebody else, right? And I tell her, my friend Sierra just got back into town, and she's a friend of mine, and I'm really looking forward to hanging out with her and doing some fun stuff. And we go to the bar, and I tell her Sierra's going to meet us there, and then you show up looking like the hot fox that you are. Now, that would not be fair to her. She's going to be like, oh, hell no.
Huh. Interesting.
So I would say that if you really want to have guy friends,
Stay single.
stay single and eat a bunch of potato chips.
Doesn't ever
And let
work out in my
yourself go.
favor.
Let yourself go. It's just
Okay,
It's
okay.
gonna be difficult. That's gonna be, look. You have to make a list of everything in your life that you have going for you, and like your strengths and your weaknesses, and then you have to say, okay, if this is my strength, how is this going to help me, but also how is this going to hurt me? Now, the fact that you're so beautiful, that will hurt you, as far as like you probably wouldn't be able to have a lot of guy friends, because
Yeah, fair
their
point.
girlfriends are going to be threatened by you, as they
Okay.
should be. But because you're so beautiful, you're going to get a lot more opportunities in life, and you'll have a lot of advantages. Like, we were just having this conversation the other day, which is a big point that I would like to make. Whereas, because I hate all of the racial stuff when people start, trying to divide people by race and everything, and it just irritates the hell out of me, because especially when it comes to dating, it has so much more to do with how good looking they are. There is a bias, not necessarily against ugly people. I mean, there is to some people. Some people can be rude and mean, but there is a bias towards people who are good looking. They get the breaks. They get noticed first. People want to buy them drinks. And so if a woman shows up to a bar, and on the left hand side of the bar is Usher with his shirt off, and he's dancing, doing his dance moves, and then on the right side of the bar you see Screech from Saved by the Bell, who's white, every girl's going to be trying to go home with Usher, because he's just a better looking dude.
Right.
So that's just like an advantage that you have, that unfortunately there's going to be some things that that go with that. You're not going to be able to have a lot of guy friends. Their girlfriends are not going to want you being their friend.
Well, interesting. Okay, well, something to think about. Next topic in the dating topic are red flags. So, are you actively searching for your next girlfriend? Are you trying to spend time with somebody?
I'm in a position to where I am trying to line up a lot of really cool things because it's it's one of those unfair things to a guy that you kind of you understand that the higher up you are on the food chain as far as like money and success, if you know that next year, a year from now, you your stocks are going to hit, you've got a company that's going to be rolling in the dough, uh, it's like you kind of feel like you would be dumb to try to find a girl right now. It's like I should wait because then the quality of girl that I'll be able to, you know, that will want to that will be interested in me.
Is it quality or is it the more beautiful?
It's definitely the more beautiful. Yeah, it's not quality because unfortunately.
I'm sorry, I had to call that one out.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, quality was definitely the wrong word. But you will have a lot of women, a lot more choices to choose from. But and that does suck too because once you have success and now all these women.
So some would say, why not, search now and have someone that was there before?
Yeah, that's the way I would prefer to do it. It would be way better if I found someone now who was like completely believed in me and everything that I'm doing and was like, oh man, this guy's going places. Like I would love that. If a girl or even friends who attach themselves to me before I have anything because they want to ride my coattails because they believe in me when no one else does, I want them to come along. Yeah, they believed in me when no one else did. And same with the woman. She knew I was going to go places, and so she rode, shotgun with me until I got there. And I'm totally cool with that. But unfortunately, you know, there's been a lot of studies done. There's a lot of lists that have been put out there. Kansas City is like one of the worst cities.
Yeah, I saw that.
To date. It's crazy.
Okay, so I'm going to list off to you some of my red flags when I'm in the talking stage with a guy or a man. And I would like to know what yours are as a man, dating a female. Mm-hmm. So mine are when a man tries to rush the honeymoon phase. So saying like I love you a weekend or something like that. I don't know. Like it's almost to me as if they are trying to get you hooked and emotionally attached. Mm. But it never works on me like that because I am just like, whoa. I don't know. I guess I have a good like sense when I'm not like there yet. So yeah. I can't like pretend I am. I don't know. It's very weird. But I have had guys who I guess pretend to be so emotionally invested and like talking like I love you, like, let's like build a life together and all this stuff, and I'm like, that sounds great and everything, but hold your horses. I don't know. It's almost like they are trying to get me to commit before I even know who they are, kind of thing. I don't know. So that's one that I like definitely shy away from right now in my life. Whenever you're with somebody and hanging out and their phone will not stop blowing up, to me, it just screams like a girl is calling you because they're like wanting to know where you're at, why you're not answering the phone, all of that stuff. Like, I don't know, that screams like you're a womanizer. Like you've got too much, you're playing the field a little too much. I don't know, and maybe I'm assuming, but like, what kind of friend calls 10 times in a row?
Yeah. That's
a little much. I've had that happen recently. It's a little
probably wasn't a guy friend.
That's what I'm saying. And I asked like who it was, and they said, oh, that's my friend's girl. I'm like, that's not even a good answer. No. That's not even a good answer. That's like, why is he I guess he was trying to make it seem like the guy friend was in trouble, so the girlfriend, like, not trouble, but like like reprimanded, and the girl was trying to get some answers, which I guess could be, but I don't know. I know I haven't talked to that guy since.
Well, I think I told you about something that happened to me recently where I was kind of in a troubled situation and I called like 30 different people in a row. I just needed to talk to anybody. So it makes more sense to me if you're in a problem to try calling somebody. If they don't answer,
Call someone
call
else.
somebody else. Not keep calling and calling and calling the same person. There's some sort of strange infatuation or like laser focus on that person.
Exactly. That's exactly what
your
I had
instincts
felt.
were definitely right on that.
Yeah, I think so.
So you would have to say that the one situation where the guy is all about you, laser focused on you, and he's in already in a week he's telling you that he loves you, and you're like, this is too fast. But the other guy is sort of the other end of the spectrum where doesn't really. He's got other women, so he's focused on them. He doesn't turn his phone off, which is if you really care about a woman.
Not only did he not turn off his phone, he put me on his Snapchat story with the caption of "She's the devil."
That you were the devil?
Yes, I was so offended by that. She's the devil. She's always mad at me.
Well, that also, I don't know. That seems almost like something you would do, like to make another woman jealous or something.
Probably. Probably.
That just seems strange to me.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that, but yeah. So, needless to say, he's off the roster.
Yeah. Well, so you would be happy with something sort of in between, where
yeah,
somebody
confident, a little jealous, not overly jealous, not controlling. Lets me speak my mind, supports my dreams, it has an understanding of, the need to prove myself, be independent, someone who's like good with money, not necessarily even has money, but just is wise with their money.
Not stupid with their money.
Yeah, like don't go out to eat all the time. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, my biggest red flag and something that totally turns me off is when a man is overly critical. So, like, we all go through things, and I especially, like, the last 2.5 years of my life, I have made countless mistakes. I mean, you of all people know all of those mistakes. But to have someone in your ear and telling you like how you messed up or like how dumb you are or, just making you feel, instead of being a part of the solution, they're attacking you and your character and like how mature you are or how capable you are. Like, I cannot deal with that. I do not, because I think I rely so heavily on outside influence, like friends and family, people who I care about, what they have to say to me, that it's so damaging when somebody is just not graceful with their criticism. I guess I can handle the criticism all day. It's just about like, if you're going to be unsupportive and not helping me figure out the solution, then I don't even really need to talk to you.
I could understand them doing that if you were in the middle of that crisis. I could understand them having those conversations with you a year and a half ago.
Well, I mean, okay.
But not now that you've climbed out of it.
Well, but that's the thing I'm saying is during the hard and challenging times, help me feel capable, support me in the next decisions that I need to make, help me map out a plan, maybe, not maybe, definitely tell me where I messed up, where I went wrong, so I can reflect and like agree, but don't beat me up about it. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I knew you when you were going through all of those things, and I wasn't even critical of you at that time.
I know.
But even so, I don't even support being critical like that. But I'm just saying, like, I think it would be wrong to do that to you even in the moment. But
definitely not now.
After you've climbed out of it, like it's an incredible story, and I've tried to convince you to tell your story at like TED Talks or to write a book.
Yeah.
And if you did if you went up in front of a huge audience and you told them your story of where you were and where you are now, like everyone in that audience would cheer for you and they would clap for you.
Yeah.
And uh, if any man that you date ever doesn't do the same for you, run. No man should ever hold those things against you.
Well, let me just
Be critical, like whatever you were just describing.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and that's something I am passionate about. Like, I don't know, if somebody's a little bit too critical, then I'm not even interested. But the reason I even say that is because I have a very good friend who is seeing somebody who, when they are around anybody or even when they're alone, he will question her maturity, if she's capable. She just recently made a really bad financial investment of like thousands, and he beat her up about it mentally and emotionally. Like, I mean, and I get it, like it was really bad, but when somebody is low and feeling like anxious and full of anxiety, I just don't see it being beneficial or like helpful to make them feel worse. Like, yes, that was a horrible investment and I don't know what you were thinking and I don't know how you let this happen, but let's find a solution and be a part of the solution, not the problem. I don't know. So and then also I've hung out with him before where he kind of makes it the butt of the jokes a lot, makes fun of her, doesn't like let her be in her energy and like fill in herself, and like I don't know, it's almost like an insecurity. But their interactions and the way that he interacts with her, it just made me realize I never in a million years will deal with that. So that's why I added it to my list.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. That's a good thing to have on your list.
Yeah.
A good example on your list. I would also say that it depends on whatever that financial situation was. If they both were like invested in some like really strong, healthy stocks, and she took it upon herself to withdraw
No.
and then invested in something that was really dumb, then I could understand him.
Yes.
For one day.
Yes.
One day losing his shit.
Yeah, but he's not involved at all in this.
So, no, but only in that situation.
Yeah.
And even if he berated her and did all of those things, it would be understandable, him losing his temper. But the next day, he would still have to apologize to her and be like, I just, because we were both invested in it, but I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I was just so mad. But it would be understandable him doing that. If this was her own investment and her own money.
Yes, it was.
Like, that's just ridiculous. And it also, what it says to me is that he's only interested in her for whatever she has as far as financial. Like, that means way too much to him, in my opinion. That just seems, there's something off about that.
If only you knew. Anyways.
I just think that's strange.
Yeah, let's just go to the next topic. But, okay, so we're coming up on the end of the podcast, and I have a handful of questions, so let's roll through these real quick.
Sure.
First date or dates expectation. Is there an expectation for a first date to be somewhere nice, fancy, and pricey? Oh, I'll tell you what the expectation is for me.
Yes.
As a female, and I know I've heard many females say the opposite, but for me, I can go to Denny's. I wouldn't necessarily go to Wendy's or like, McDonald's, but I would go to a liquor store and like walk around Westport with somebody, or go to Prime Social or Capitol Grill. Like, it does not matter to me as long as I'm treated with respect. If there's chemistry there and we're like having a good time, and so long as they're not, I don't know, flirting with other women. Like, if it's a good time and we're vibing, I think that there shouldn't be an expectation on where we go. Now, if a woman is wanting to meet, if they are setting their sights on a higher caliber man as far as financially, then I guess I could see why they would expect a, fancy, pricey dinner, because then if it wasn't up to their standards, they'd say, okay, this guy's not for me, or what they can't offer me what I want.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm trying to find love out here. I'm not trying to find what I can get from somebody. So
I think that the way you feel about that is actually awesome, and I think you'll make a phenomenal girlfriend and wife for somebody, uh, because of uh, the way that you, your perspective on that. But just me to you as a friend, giving you some advice, I would adjust it just a little bit. I would say to you, be that way, except for the first date.
okay.
If a guy takes you to Denny's on the first date, no, no, because he's saying that that's all he sees to you. Like for me, first of all, I would never take a girl to Denny's anyways. Um, I mean, on the first date anyways. But I might take her to like different restaurants or whatever. But like if I really like a girl, like if I really want to make an impression, I'm gonna take her to sushi, to a nice sushi place.
What if she doesn't eat sushi?
Well, then
Capital Girl?
yeah, Capital Grill, because then they've got other things that she could eat. But like, that's like on the first date, that's gonna be a telltale for you, like what you mean to him, how he sees you. Now, after that first date, if he's like, man, I spent so much on that first date, because I really wanted to impress you, so I don't get paid till next week. And then you were like, hey, you know what? I don't care. We can just go, we can go on a picnic, make some sandwiches, or we can go to Denny's. He's probably gonna be like, oh shit, this girl is awesome. She doesn't just.
Do you think that him saying that would make the female like, oh no, I don't want to date you? I would like to say no, but in the moment, I think that would be like, I would be I would rather not know that.
That he doesn't have the money.
Yeah,
really?
I would rather not know that, and us just like hang out and go do something, and maybe not even go on a date. I don't know. It's tricky.
That doesn't compute with me. It doesn't make sense with what you said earlier. With I don't care if it's Denny's or whatever, but then
I guess it just comes down to how into somebody I am.
Yeah, well, first of all, but that's the thing. Like, if you go to a nice restaurant, if he takes you to a nice restaurant, like for example, let's say that you guys go to a nice restaurant that he picked out, and he's got all of these things planned, and you're having so much fun together that you go to, it leads to you going to a carnival, and there's like all of these really expensive things, and he ends up spending like $1,000 on you that night because he just wants to keep. He just wants you.
I would never allow that, but yeah.
But like that would be a good reason for him not, being flat broke until, or not having a lot of money until his next paycheck. I mean, you best case scenario, you're going to be dating a guy who has a lot of money in the bank and he can just take it out of his savings anyways. But that doesn't mean that there's not some really good guys who are living paycheck to paycheck, but they might be living paycheck to paycheck because, like, think about my situation that I was in when I needed to buy a house, and I needed to buy a house like quick. It would have been 2 years if I would have done it the regular way, but I had just seen this great show called Undercover Billionaire. I recommend everybody go watch this. It's where you have this guy who's a billionaire, and he gets dropped off in the middle of nowhere with only $100 and a truck. And he has this bet where he has only 3 months to make $1 million. And if he doesn't, I think he loses $1 million. But if he does, I can't remember what the negotiations were, but he did all of these incredible things that I had never really thought about. And it made me start thinking outside the box. And so I needed an installment loan to buy a house, which meant I would have had to get a loan on a car, but then I was going to have to get, rent an apartment, which is going to be a bunch of bills and all those things. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to get my installment loan, but instead of buying a regular car, I'm going to buy a Ram ProMaster. I'm going to live out of it, and I'm going to build it, use the extra money I would have used for rent, and I'm going to build the van from the inside out. And I turned it into this awesome traveling.
Did you sell that?
I did sell it, and I ended up making like $8,000 profit that I was able to turn around and use towards my down payment
Oh
for
my
my
gosh,
house.
so cool.
And I was able to move into a house at this house that I bought in just 1 year instead of 2 years. So at that time when I
So
was,
cool.
yeah, like if I
But at that time, you shouldn't be dating then.
well, it's pretty much impossible because you can't be like, hey, you want to go back to my van?
Yeah.
It just, you're not gonna. Not a lot of women are gonna be okay with that. But there, you never know. You could meet somebody.
Yeah, who's willing to write it out with you. That's like, okay, so I guess for the right person, I will.
Yeah.
I just haven't come across it yet, and I don't know where I land. And right now, I've got a lot to prove, and I've got a lot to focus on. And I have a child who I have a lot of making up to do, and so I'm doing it. And so it's really hard for me to even get attached to a man because I want to give my son a good life, and I believe I'm capable and able, and I have a lot of hope that I will. And so I just feel like I shouldn't even be. So I want to enjoy time and like date a little bit, but I don't want to settle down. That leads me to another point. I read a book. I didn't finish it because I just kind of couldn't get behind it. It says, "Men love bitches." And basically, it was trying to say that don't seem interested in a man. Don't give them your time. Don't act jealous. Don't act like you need them at all. And for me, it was just telling me to be masculine, not be in my soft girl era. So, do men love bitches? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. I believe a woman who is tough and masculine, that's a good thing. But when you find someone that you don't have to be tough and masculine with, you shouldn't be. Put your guards down. I believe that a woman should not be too accessible to a man because everyone wants what they can't have. But I don't believe that women should be bitchy or a bitch. I think we should think independently. I think we should give our thoughts and be humble, but be clean up nice and showcase what we can do as far as how good we can look. Treat everyone with respect when you're out on a date, including who you're on a date with. Laugh at things. Don't seem so uninterested and like as if you're just the best thing to walk on this earth. I just don't think that's the way to get a man. So I couldn't even get behind that book. Next, I have a question of...
Would you mind if I respond to that really
Sure.
quick?
Yeah.
Because to me, that book seems like it was written for people who are not really on an elevated...
Maybe you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe like a people pleaser or...
Well, because it almost sounds like the way that you would, if you were dating, if you wanted to play games with somebody. Like, that's not, like, I don't really want, like, I want a man that I can have a close relationship and have all these wonderful
Exactly.
things.
You're absolutely right.
So if I want that man, I have to pretend like this or that. Well, if you have to act like that, if you have to act like somebody other than who you are,
then you're gonna have to
that's
keep
not
up
the right person for you anyways.
and you're gonna have to keep up with that facade for what? Forever?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is my point. When I first got out of high school, I was hanging out with a bunch of my friends, and I was like the least goofiest of all of my friends. And they had all of these really hot girls coming around. At least I thought they were hot at the time. They were really cute, but on my scale at that time, I thought, oh wow, these girls are hot, and they were like falling over themselves.
The guys?
For the guys, they were like,
oh,
none of the girls were like,
okay,
like they were chasing my friends, and my friends were treating them like shit, like calling them bitches and whores and like. And I was like, I remember thinking to myself, I can't wait. Like, I'm not as goofy looking as these guys. And they treat these girls like shit. This is so dumb of me. I was like, I can't wait till I go to the store and buy a dozen roses and hand these roses to these girls, because they're going to look at me and be like, oh, this guy, he's not as goofy looking and he's sweet to me. They looked at me like I was an idiot.
Oh, you did it?
I did. And
oh, no.
Because I didn't know at that time, and it's really bad here in Kansas City. In Kansas City, there are a lot of women who, they respond to men who treat them like shit.
Yeah.
Once I figured out that that's what was going on, I was like, that's all I have to do. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm an actor, so I can pretend like I'm an asshole. So I thought, let me just try it. And one night I just started acting like an asshole to
You're
this
like,
girl.
fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, but because I have a sense of humor, I was able to do it in a funny way to where my friends were laughing, and the more that my friends laughed, the more that I actually kind of made her laugh. And it was so bizarre. This woman who was acting like she was too good for me, within about 10 minutes was acting like I was her world, and she was infatuated with me. And that summer was like the most successful summer as far as women go for me of my life. My everything changed for me. All of a sudden, I was the guy who had all the girls. I had all these phone numbers that would get from these women, and my friends would be like, instead of me asking them to bring a friend, they were like, Kramer, call up some girls and have them bring some friends. And I would call up the girls and I'd be like, hey, or they would actually call me and they say, hey, I want to come over. And I would say, well, I got like 5 friends here. So unless you got like, 4 or 5 of your girlfriends that you can bring with you, then, I don't even want you to come over. I would treat them like shit, and they loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I believe you.
it was so crazy. But by the end of the summer, even though I knew that it was like a very successful summer as far as the way that my friends would have viewed it, my guy friends, I felt very empty inside. And I remember thinking to myself exactly what you said a second ago. I was like, what happens if I actually fall in love with one of these women? I'm going to have to pretend like I'm an asshole for the rest of my life. And I thought, that's not fair to me. And that was the last time that I was like that. And I said, from now on, I'm just going to be myself. I'm a nice guy. And if a woman is turned off by that for some weird reason, which there's a lot of that in Kansas City, so it's been difficult to find women here. Most of the women that I've dated have all been from out of town, almost all of them. That's where I've had more success. In Kansas City, like, I don't know, it's strange how so many women, they respond to men that disrespect them. But to me, that's like, I can't be attracted to somebody like that anyways. Like, you got to have respect for yourself. You got to be intelligent. That just reeks of stupidity to me. To allow
I agree with you. Oh my gosh, let me tell you what I just had a conversation today. A girlfriend calls me on the phone, and she was telling me about her boyfriend and how she's pretty sure that he's, talking to other girls and all this stuff, and how upset she was, and she was crying over it. And I laid into her as nicely as I could, because I'm like, listen, you are way too good for this. I expect way more, because you are beautiful, you're kind, you have a good heart, all these things. And I was like, you cannot entertain this anymore. Like, you know what he is and what he isn't, and you're trying to create this hope of this dream that you have of in your mind of, this life that you want with him, and it's just not possible. Like, I'm like, you already know what it is, so why are you even investing any energy or letting yourself cry over this anymore? Like, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and move on. This guy is not it for you. Why even entertain it? Why even, I don't know, Tim, I feel for her, but at the same time, I'm like, come on.
I totally get that. Like, one of my biggest pet peeves is wasted energy.
Yeah.
Because you can never get that back. And if you look back on a relationship and you're like, oh my God, like, I clung to that for like an extra 2 years of my life.
And we all do it. We all do it. And,
absolutely.
And I know I'm being a little insensitive when I told her, like, move on, but I tried to be the voice of reason to let her know, like, you're dumbing yourself down to entertain this. But I've done it. Oh my gosh.
You know what? It's interesting. I actually, because I used to make the same mistake. And I used to, when I would do my comedy shows, if I had like a really, really good show, and it seemed like the entire room was laughing, but maybe there was one person in the back that I wasn't aware of that just didn't like my show. And if they came up to me after the show and said, yeah, I didn't like your show, I didn't think you were funny, I would just like start laying into them like I would a heckler, and just like start insulting them and making fun of them, and because it pissed me off. And then whenever they would leave, like I would spend the next 2 weeks focusing on that one person. And then it dawned on me one day, I realized, you know what, there's always going to be people in this world who they don't see your worth, they don't see your value, and so they'll disrespect you, they'll treat you like shit, or they'll tell you they don't like you or whatever. And you have to accept that there's always going to be that group of people, but compartmentalize and say, okay, I'm just going to put you in this little category over here. You're one of the people that don't like me, that's fine, but I'm not going to give you my energy. I'm not going to give you a part of me because you don't deserve it. I'm going to focus on the people that do appreciate me.
Right.
And then that's not wasted energy.
Oh my gosh, that's so mature, and I wish that females would learn that.
Once they learn it, they'll be so much happier.
Yeah.
Like, give it to a guy that's going to treat you with respect, that's going to treat you the way you deserve to be treated. And what's crazy is that once you figure that out, you'll be so much happier because it's like the give and take you get from that and the response you get. Because, like, there is nothing worse than another pet peeve of mine. I hate it if I go out of my way to help somebody out and then, and this usually happens with like psycho chicks, but you go out of your way to help them out, and then instead of thanking you, they will literally blame you for whatever problems or issues that have gone wrong. It's like, what are you blaming me for? I'm the one that I showed up to help you. And so it's like, you don't, not only, I would rather have somebody not say thank you and not say anything at all than to turn around and blame me. So like, it's completely, it has the opposite effect. So if a woman completely gives herself to a man, her love, her affection, and she's doing so much, and then she finds out he's giving to other people,
then fucking cut it off. Let's go. Like, yeah, but it makes the rejection, makes them want them so much more, and it's just wild.
But you know what? Here's the thing about that. I would be willing to bet that he, on a daily basis, probably tells her, he makes her feel how worthless she is. He probably makes her feel worthless, because if you constantly are around somebody and they say that to you all the time, you start to feel like you're worthless. Whereas if you, and that's another telltale.
I think what's going on is that he love bombs her. So when they're together, he makes her feel like she's the only one. They're super special. They have this amazing bond, but like, she should know it's just like a little too good to be true. And it doesn't mean that it's too good to be true because it won't be found. It's just,
well, then that's a
narcissistic.
That's a character flaw in herself that she needs to adjust, because what that means is that when he tells her those things and she accepts it because she believes it, and so she feels like she deserves that, but then when she finds out that he's doing things with somebody else, if she really believes that about herself, she needs to say, whoa, like, I'm pissed at, she should be pissed at him.
Right.
She should be crying over him. Like, oh my God.
You're not living up to the expectation.
Yeah, she should be like, hey, you lied to me. You told me this and that. And
but girls, she especially, just don't see it like that. So
yeah,
it's just hard.
That's probably going to be something that haunts her for a long time, until she gets to the point to where she respects herself enough to not put up with that. She's probably, like, that's just something that has to, it's like a switch that flips in your brain.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And
I think it's like a maturity thing, and like how long are you going to let yourself be disrespected? How much time are you going to waste? Like, I mean, it's just a lot of things go into when that switch happens. Sometimes it's hitting rock bottom and realizing like the climb was way too hard to get back on, your feet, to be wasting time with people that are just not either quality or genuine.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, last question I have before I properly introduce you, because I just told your name.
That's okay.
Before that, I want to ask you, should women or men who are casually dating someone be loyal to somebody in the talking stage, meaning they are talking to one person at a time?
That's kind of a tough one. I don't think that it's fair to expect the other person.
Right, because it's not official.
Yeah.
And how do you know who you want to be with until you talk to certain people or date a little bit, test the waters?
I think that, that's one of those crazy things where your sixth sense kind of kicks in. Like when two people have really good chemistry together, you know it.
Yeah.
And if you don't know it, then I feel bad for both parties, because that means that, no, I take that back. I feel bad for the one party that isn't sure, because I guess there could always be a scenario where perhaps one is being faithful and not talking to somebody else. Maybe they are just like, they like to be by themselves. But man, that would like make me, if I was a woman and a guy was not responding, and spending time by himself, I would probably be thinking he's probably out with another girl talking. That would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
So I think it's but then again,
I think if I can just answer real quick, I'm just going to say the answer is no until you progress into a more serious relationship with that person.
Yeah.
But these days, people get very offended if, you're honest and you're like, I'm going to go on a date tonight, like people just stick their claws in you and think like you should not be doing that. But yeah. So, okay. Well, because I didn't introduce him the correct way, this is Steve Kramer. He is a local comedian, and he has done a lot of great things in his life. And I'm going to let him introduce yourself, and then also maybe give us an impersonation or two if you want. That way we can wrap up the podcast, but we can showcase who you are and what you do.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, I'm Steve Kramer. I started doing stand-up comedy about 24 years ago. After about a year, I was headlining clubs all over the country, and then about 6 months after that, I landed a television show. I actually auditioned from right here in Kansas City, and landed a TV show that like a lot of people were trying to get on, and I landed it from here, and I flew out there to audition me. In fact, I had to follow in my audition. I had to follow Dane Cook, which was a lot of pressure because at the time he was huge.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting the part. Was on the TV show. It was like a sketch comedy show, like Saturday Night Live, Mad TV, and so I do a lot of voice impersonations, and I play the guitar and all that. In fact, I also build guitars, so I have this cool looking Millennium Falcon guitar. It plays. I play it on stage sometimes when I do my comedy show.
Yeah.
And then I did the TV show. I taught myself how to animate. My very first cartoon was featured at the Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal, which was really cool. In fact, you and I have had conversations about possibly creating a cartoon template of yourself.
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
To help you sell some houses.
Oh yeah.
Make some commercials.
I was talking about for the podcast, but
that'd be cool too. You could use it for whatever you wanted, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just had like a very interesting life. Probably, in fact, I met Vanilla Ice. He actually came to one of my shows, and there's a part of my show where I rap Ice Ice Baby as Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I ended up like rapping his song to him, to his face, as Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it was this crazy moment that happened that we got on tape, and but he was like really cool and really nice. He was laughing his ass off. It was super, super awesome.
Nice.
But yeah, it's crazy, crazy life that I've had. Toured all over the world doing stand-up comedy.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Who are you going to impersonate?
Well, I guess we spoke about the whole Arnold thing, so
yeah,
I'd probably need a little bit of backup from you. If you could provide a bass line for me, if you could just go boom 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 da da dum 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 da da dum 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 da da dum 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 dum.
There's no chance I'm doing that.
Come on, you can do that. That's like the
no
easiest thing that you could do.
No.
Here,
no.
Here,
yeah. Yes.
Cool.
Do that. Not.
I'll do. If you're not going to help me, I'll create my own. Hold on a second. Give me a second. This will be a great way to close out the podcast, by the way.
Thanks so much for coming and being on today's podcast. You were a great co-host.
This sounds like an advertisement now.
No, everyone don't.
I'm Casey Casey on today's podcast.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on all social media platforms at Girl Math Podcast. You can also follow Steve Kramer at I am Steve Kramer on TikTok.
Yes, I'm Steve Kramer. I'm the 0 on Girl Math. Let me see here.
My original and real co-host couldn't make it tonight, but here we go. Let's go, Steve Kramer.
Let me just test this real quick. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, so this is if Arnold Schwarzenegger was a tech-savvy white rapper. Here we go. Bang 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 hi hi. Stop, collaborate and listen on. This back with the brand of invention something. Got the howl of me tightly flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop, yo? I don't know. Look at my teeth like a flounce of rope. To this rim, rock a mind like a panda. Loud on a stage, watching jump like a cancer. Hi 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 hi.
I can't. That was so loud in my ears too.
So that's some of the crazy stuff that I do when I travel and do comedy.
So fun. All right.
Well,
are you gonna what?
Oh, nothing. I was just gonna say that was a fun podcast. Thank you for having me. How about a round of applause
for the #1 podcast in the world?
That's right. The #1 podcast in the world, Girl Math, sponsored by
all of your local, I don't know.
Sponsored by Bud Light beer.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyways. All right. Shall we end?
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
See you later.